Here's your wrestling news for October 22nd, 2022. And we're kicking off with AEW as CM Punk had some explosive comments for several stars on the roster after All Out, and a backstage fight resulted in Punk and others being suspended. This week, Punk's trainer Ace Steel was fired by AEW for his role in the fight, and it looks like the former world champion will be joining him on the unemployment line. According to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, AEW's locker room is vehemently anti-Punk, and the higher-ups in the company do not want to bring him back. They report, "The sentiment of those in AEW amongst most talent, not all talent, was decidedly anti-Punk. Between the television promo on Page, who is overall very popular with the talent, the scrum where he said Page had never done anything in the business, which was taken as saying AEW means nothing in wrestling since Page had been one of the top stars since day one and headlined 3 successful pay-per-view shows and been in arguably the best match in company history, Young Bucks vs. Kenny Omega and Page. The fight also made the entire company look bad. At the same time, this week, Dana White said that their very similar backstage situation with Kazmat Shimev, Nate Diaz, and Kevin Holland was not going to have any disciplinary action at all. It is said that nobody from WWE has had any actual contact with Punk and Guy, but Punk is close with Adam Pearce, who has some pull there, and Punk in the past has been extremely close to Paul Heyman, who is also someone that the higher-ups seem to listen to a lot. Tony Khan and others are reportedly talking about buying out Punk's contract for an undisclosed sum, meaning they could release him immediately after, but there is a fear that he'll go to WWE. The report adds that a non-compete clause should keep Punk away from WWE, at least for a certain period of time, but Tony Khan won't be able to control his actions forever if Punk leaves AEW. While Punk and WWE have had some very negative comments about each other, the belief is that only WWE would be able to afford to pay the Chicago-made star's high asking price. Punk is also injured at this time and won't be wrestling for months, but there is a consensus, at least in AEW, that WWE would want to bring him back, injury and all, as it would be a massive coup for them and a blow to Tony Khan. Talks of a buyout are nothing new, as Sean Ross Sapp added in a report of his own that talk of buying out Punk's deal first came up shortly after the backstage fight took place. If Punk is fired from AEW, it'll come not long after Steel, and the report adds that Steel's wife, who he claimed to be defending during the fight, was not spoken to during the investigation. CM Punk's arrival in AEW last year was one of the biggest successes for the company, especially after his 7 years out of the ring, but his time with the company may be about to end on a whimper. If Punk goes, then odds are the only place he could wrestle again next would be in a WWE ring, something fans thought would never happen. Given how volatile Punk's exit from WWE was and the company accidentally sending him his termination papers on his wedding day, many assumed he was done with the company for good. Speaking to Fightful, sources within WWE asserted that Punk would never be brought back under any circumstances if Vince McMahon were still running things. However, these same sources say that Triple H would be open to doing business with the former world champion, adding that it would have to be the right situation, the right money, and the right creative. Triple H is said to be dead set on creating compelling programming, and Punk, for all his faults, could help the game achieve that. It was also noted that if Punk comes back to WWE, it would likely not be a full-time deal similar to the one he has in AEW. Of course, this all hinges on Punk being willing to work for WWE, but after over 8 years and countless harsh words, the Chicago-made wrestler may be a superstar once again. Over to SmackDown, and for the first time in forever, Rey Mysterio is being booked well. After moving to SmackDown last week, Rey earned an Intercontinental title match, and this week was confronted by Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci. This led to Kaiser vs. Mysterio, which the masked veteran won, in a rarity for Rey in recent years. Do we expect Mysterio to topple the colossal Gunther and become Intercontinental Champion? No, but the fact that he's got some consistent good booking is great to see. Liv Morgan faced Sonya Deville on SmackDown, but the match played second fiddle to Morgan's continued character change. Since going extreme earlier this month, Morgan hasn't returned to her normal self, and donning a Harley Quinn-inspired attire this week destroyed Deville. Some have questioned that Morgan could be setting up a heel turn, but even if that isn't the case, this new character is one Liv has transitioned into nicely. SmackDown may have proven to be a good show for Morgan's character change, but the WWE Women's Tag Title match failed to deliver. On the show, Damage Control retained against the slapped-together pairing of Raquel Rodriguez and Shotzi, a result we believe is the right one. That said, minus the prowess of Io Sky and the intensity of Raquel, the match didn't do too much and it felt rather bland. WWE has often struggled with their women's tag division, and while Damage Control is proved to have been an entertaining group, that didn't translate over to last night's title defense. Last night's episode saw Braun Strowman vs. Omos confirmed for Crown Jewel, but there's a noticeable lack of hype for what is an arguable dream match. The crowd at SmackDown didn't go crazy for the match, which isn't expected to be an in-ring classic, but should still bring something to the table. All signs are pointing to Braun winning in his biggest feud since returning to WWE, but the fact that there's little interest should be a concern for many, especially the rehired Braun. When Bray Wyatt returned to WWE at Extreme Rules, he didn't come alone, as the characters of his Firefly Funhouse were portrayed by real people. It's been reported that a stable, dubbed by fans as the Wyatt Six, is in the works, with names including Joe Gacy, Liv Morgan, and Bo Dallas all being rumored to join. WWE hasn't publicly confirmed the stable, but not only is it something WWE is working on, but they're considering names from outside the company. The Wrestling Observer reports that former Ring of Honor talent Vincent and Dutch have been considered for the stable, and that both men were backstage at this week's Raw. Both Dutch and Vincent have held Ring of Honor's six-man World Tag Team titles, and their looks would fit right in with the former Universal Champion. With only 6 places in the stable, 5 if you don't include Bray himself, only a very few wrestlers will get the chance to be part of the group, and we'll have to wait and see who Triple H chooses. More from Bray Wyatt now, as WWE had teased his return with QR codes that would lead fans to clues about the former Universal Champion, and that continued last night. During last night's SmackDown, WWE aired a video package featuring the mysterious masked man, and the package also featured a QR code. Fans who scanned it were taken to a psych evaluation of Bray, which pointed out that he has difficulty showing remorse or empathy. The evaluation added that Wyatt has a tendency to disregard or violate the rights of others, though most of the information from the document was blacked out. The patient ID number was actually a toll-free number, and fans who called would hear Bray whispering the lyrics to "The Man Who Sold the World." Fans who went through Wyatt's old tweets also found messages from October 14, 2018, which reads as a psych evaluation of a patient, presumably Wyatt, so this idea may be something WWE had planned for years. These QR codes and teases have proven to be a hit with fans who try and decipher the hidden meanings about Wyatt, and we'll have to see how his character continues to develop. Since Wyatt appeared, there have been talks of a new stable for the former world champion, and WWE teased just that last night. Not only did SmackDown feature a video package, but Bray himself appeared in a promo, saying he wasn't sure he'd ever come back, but he did. Wyatt ominously added that he is going to do terrible things and won't feel any regret. Towards the end of the promo, Wyatt said that, "I needed all of you to pull the spears out of my ribs and help me out," seemingly a nod to having some superstars join his side. As previously reported, names being rumored range from stars such as Liv Morgan and Bo Dallas to NXT talent including Joe Gacy and Grayson Waller. Whatever the future holds, one thing we know is that WWE has huge plans for Bray Wyatt moving forward, as the new regime, unlike Vince McMahon, is all in on the Eater of Worlds. Bray's return to WWE has received universal praise from fans, but it's not just the audiences at home who are glad to see him back. One name who has also made an impression on SmackDown this year is Solo Sikoa, who is now working as part of the Bloodline. Sitting down with Sportskeeda this week, the former NXT North American champion was asked about Bray's return and had nothing but positive things to say. "It was cool, very different, creative, and emotional too, man. I could see the way he was walking out. He missed being in this environment. The fans missed him being in the environment too. They missed The Fiend, they missed Bray Wyatt, and he came back a whole different person." Wyatt's return has proven to be good for business, as last week's SmackDown saw a clear boost in ticket sales, but it's now on WWE to keep this momentum moving going forward. Now, because of baseball, this week's AEW Dynamite was moved to Tuesday nights, putting the show once again head-to-head with WWE NXT. Both shows put on star-studded cards, but it was ultimately Dynamite that got a narrow 75,000 audience majority, winning this latest battle. AEW has never shied away from bragging about the ratings, and on last night's Rampage, things were no different. During the entrance for AEW World Tag Team Champions The Acclaimed, Max Caster freestyled, saying they were about to win like we won the ratings on Tuesdays. This is hardly the first time AEW has taken shots at WWE, and it certainly won't be the last, but with Tony Khan's ticket sales struggling, it remains to be seen how he'll turn those numbers around. The Acclaimed were very confident heading into last night's match on Rampage, but one person who didn't compete is Penelope Ford. Ford was picking up steam in AEW until an injury put her on the shelf, and she's now hurt once again. Tony Schiavone was the one to announce that Ford wouldn't be competing in a rubber match with Willow Nightingale, which had been previously announced. Layla Gray replaced Ford against Nightingale during Rampage, which TBS champion Jade Cargill says she ordered to save AEW from embarrassment. After months of inactivity, Ford returned to AEW TV during an August edition of Rampage, but now she's out again, with no word on when she'll be back. Last month, AEW hosted their Grand Slam editions of Dynamite and Rampage, which last year proved to be hit sellout shows. This year, though, that wasn't the case, as a New York City fan called Chris Goldsmith was at the Grand Slam and shared a video Tony Khan wouldn't want you to see. The video shows several empty seats, and it wasn't long before AEW found Goldsmith and had the video taken down. While Tony Khan loves talking about ratings, the actual attendance figures for his shows have been seriously struggling, something that AEW and their company president don't want fans to know. Chris's video wasn't on social media for long, but he isn't the only fan to have been targeted by AEW. After Tony Khan bragged about not needing to train wrestlers, which has earned some criticism lately, several fans have called out AEW, sharing videos of dangerous botches. Now though, Twitter users who post their videos are receiving a DMCA takedown of their content, and this isn't the first time that it's happened. One name that often receives these takedowns is Donald Stevens, who some people believe is AEW referee Aubrey Edwards working under a pseudonym. One fan commented how if Khan is going to brag about not training his wrestlers, then he shouldn't complain his talent hurting each other. Tony Khan has often said that AEW has a great relationship with their fans, one far better than WWE has with their universe, but if you want to share a botch for entertainment, or even just to spread awareness of how unsafe AEW can be at times, then prepare to face the wrath of Khan. And we're ending with Paige Van Zant, who hasn't appeared for AEW since her in-ring debut back at Double or Nothing 2022. There was a ton of buzz around Van Zant when she arrived, but in the Wrestling Observer, Dave Meltzer reports that she has disappeared from all talk backstage. Van Zant recently claimed on Instagram that she has been begging to return, but so far, that hasn't happened. Whether the MMA fighter ever gets back in an AEW ring, only time will tell, but for now, Paige continues to be missing with no signs of returning. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.